Welcome back to Bills and Business. I'm your host, Laura Carr, co-founder of USLege, and today we're tackling a topic that's urgent, deeply personal, and absolutely solvable: child exploitation in the digital age. Our guest is someone who's been leading the charge in Texas for decades, Andrea Sparks. She's the co-founder of Not on Our Watch, a new movement rallying women in business to confront online abuse. She's also served as director of Governor's Child Sex Trafficking Team, and now she brings her talents to Buckner International as their director of government relations. Here's our conversation.
Well, let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Where did your interest in protecting children online all really begin? From early days. Tell us how you got here.
Early days. This is funny and it makes me laugh to say it, but I was obsessed with the musical Annie.
Okay.
When I was a kid. And it really hit me. Like, I had never heard of an orphanage or that there were orphans. I came from a big, close Cajun family.
Yeah.
And I loved the musical, and I also loved the storyline, and it broke my heart.
Okay.
And so, honestly, that's when it started clicking for me. Like, And I remember, I'm dating myself, but Sally Struthers had this, Christian childhood fund or something where you could, quote, adopt an orphan overseas and send in money and whatever. So I took my allowance and I started doing that.
Wow.
With this girl in Uganda, and it turns out she was older than me, but still it was a very meaningful thing to me.
Wow.
And so it's just kind of always been there from early ages. And then, you get distracted with life and, I'm going to be a political science major and I'm going to go to DC, and then I'm going to, I guess I got to go to law school. I really don't want to go to law school, but when you get good grades, I'm going to go to law school. I'm not good at math or science, and went to law school and was very involved in public interest there and did the juvenile justice clinic, worked at the DA's office in child protection, and also got kind of sucked into, hey, you have to interview with the law firms. You have to do a clerkship at the Texas Supreme Court. Like, this is what you have to do. And I was going down that route pretty much kicking and screaming. I mean, I loved the judge I worked for at the Texas Supreme Court. I ended up staying there 3 years. I had 2 babies while I was there because he was just such a supportive boss. And it was just like a good time in my life to do that. I just gotten married and we wanted kids, and I was in my late 20s, early 30s. But I tell my daughter this all the time. I was like, you realize you saved my life.
Oh.
Because when I found out I was pregnant, I immediately thought, I can't go to that law firm. I just knew. And for me, it just wasn't a choice. And so I went and talked to the managing partner of this big law firm who had given me an offer. And surprisingly, he was completely on board and said, you're doing the right thing. And he was very honest and open with me. He said, no bridges burned. Keep the Barbary bonus and all that stuff we got, just
Wow.
You take care of your daughter. And, he had just had a grandchild. And then when I had to go back to work after a year or so, I was like, okay, if I'm going to drop off my kiddo at a daycare and pick her up several hours later, right, and my son too, I want to do something that is so meaningful that I'm willing to do that, right? Like, it's got to be really meaningful.
Sure.
And the first thing that came in my mind when I started praying about it and thinking about it was child protection. Going back to, that origin of what I was meant to do and my work at the DA's office. And so I started getting appointed to child welfare cases, CPS cases, representing kids, and loved it.
You, I know, have a huge heart, but that I know is not an easy job to see.
Yeah.
How did you handle seeing all of that?
Barely. It was really hard because my husband at the time was doing child exploitation cases for then Attorney General Cornyn and then Attorney General Abbott. And so we were like, what is wrong with us? Why are we trying this stuff? And whenever I represented a kiddo or, a child who's my kid's age, it really made me realize how vulnerable they were, And so I was one of those attorneys that lied. I'm probably going to get in trouble any day with the Texas far because I did want to take them all home. I did take them to the Trail of Lights with my kids. Like I did stuff like that. It was really hard. But it also was just such the basis of the rest of my career. And I'm still in touch with a lot of those kids who are in their 30s now.
Wow, that's amazing.
And have their own children who call me Yaya. And, like, they're like
that's so cute.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really hard. I did that for a few years. And then I went to Mexico to spend some time with my family and to try to get fluent in Spanish, thinking I was going to do Spanish speaking clients. And I had this epiphany in the middle of the night that I was getting burned out, that I felt like I was beating my head against a brick wall, and that I needed to back up and do more policy work. And that's how I got into the whole policy framework and started doing that instead of individual cases.
And when did you kind of have I need to start something of my own and start Not on Our Watch?
Well, that wasn't until much later. I had started nonprofits before. I'd been part of that. And I love that work. I love starting things. But, after years of child welfare work and really before my current position at Buckner, I was the governor's office running the child sex trafficking team. And that was like a startup too. I mean, we were just trying to create systems that helped these kids, that prevented child sex trafficking, that identified victims, that recovered the victims and empowered survivors, and then brought justice, right? And that was just so exciting. And it was very pioneering work in a way,
Were you the first boots on the ground to start that section of the governor's office?
So he appointed me, and Governor Abbott appointed me April Fool's Day, 2016. Hey, we have this little problem called child sex trafficking. Do you want to come fix it? I was like, oh my gosh, April 1st. But that was truly an honor and a joy. And, a lot of the work we did still persists today, and other states are now replicating it. So I feel really good about it. But while I was there, I had come from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, where we did a lot of the work about online exploitation. And my husband was still doing that work, right? He had done some trafficking cases. He's a federal prosecutor, but he was doing a lot of the online stuff. And I noticed that as people started talking more about trafficking and human trafficking, that was like the hot topic. And people were forgetting about the Internet Crimes Against Children and the Internet Crimes Against Children task forces. And this is at a time when kids were getting smartphones. And I mean, this is when it was all starting to blow up. So met with a dynamic businesswoman, the founder of Texas Women in Business, Lisa Beth Thomas. Actually, we were meeting the day the city shut down for COVID.
Oh, wow.
This was wild. We were having coffee at that coffee place on South Congress. And the guy comes up to us and he's like, hey, we have to shut down at 2 today. And we're like, why? And he goes, the pandemic. And we looked at each other and we looked outside and we're like, where is everybody? Is this like the zombie apocalypse? And we were literally shutting down.
Wow.
We were planning on starting Not on Our Watch as an anti-trafficking group, working with Mrs. Abbott and the Governor's Commission on Women. And we were able to do some things even during COVID. But it was really during COVID when we saw that online exploitation of kids was increasing 567%, that we were like, oh no, we got to pivot and focus on this. And that to me kind of felt like coming home. Because, yes, I understand trafficking and all of our kids are at some risk of trafficking. But the online exploitation thing affects all of us. It affects every person who has a phone, which is every person, pretty much, in the world. And it affects all of us moms and dads and grandparents and aunts and uncles who care about kids.
Absolutely. It's not a wrong place, wrong time. It's any place, anytime, because they now have this device on them.
Yeah, and we actually give it to them.
Right.
So it's, and they get addicted to it.
I know we met through this work and protecting children, and I, built this coalition with you to come and testify about this and learn so much. What would you say are probably just the most shocking statistics about phone usage in children?
First of all, I want to thank you for that work last session. We miss you at the Capitol.
Thank you. And it was amazing work and very moving. And and difficult. So I'm glad you're continuing.
Difficult, and we
everything.
had fun, but we really do miss you at the Capitol. I'm just so happy for you in your new space. I'm just so happy for you.
I appreciate it.
Gosh, the most shocking. I don't know if I can tell you what the most shocking is. I continue to be shocked in this work. After all these years working for the National Center, working on child sex trafficking, doing this work, I'll tell you something happened today that kind of shocked me. And it is, I don't know how to say it except the appalling lies that some in our tech industry are employing to kill the good bills we have, the common sense bills to protect children. So today I saw an ad that basically said, hey, porn sites are supporting Senate Bill 2420, Senator Paxton's App Store Accountability Act, and HB 4901 by Rep. Fairley. And that is a lie. That is a lie. In fact, the work we did together last session partially resulted in Pornhub leaving our state. They are not for this bill. They are fighting it. And it just, I guess that's what surprises me. Last session.
The opposition.
Yeah, the opposition.
Sure.
The opposition. Last session, I remember thinking, and you and I have had conversations about this, like, why? Why are they opposed? We could not figure it out. And now I figured it out. And follow the money. Our kids are being monetized. They are spending time, attention, which is money for tech companies, on their phones, and they're spending money. Every time they download an app or do an in-app purchase, they are children entering into a contract with a corporation. And we don't allow our kids to drink until they're 21, to go to the military until they're 18, but we allow them to enter into these contracts and give up all their information and privacy to these apps and these corporations. And it just blows my mind that we allow this to go on.
There were some great stats you gave there. Like, you can't go to a strip club unless you have ID and you're over 18. But then your phone in your pocket, you can do far worse and see far worse than at these places. So specifically, what is it, the two bills you mentioned, is it House Bill or Senate Bill 4901?
It's House Bill 4901
And Senate
by
Bill
Caroline Fairley.
2420.
And Senate Bill 2420 by Angela Paxton.
So, can you explain what these two bills you're advocating for do? So you have House Bill 4901 and then Senate Bill 2420.
Yep. They're companion bills, and they would basically require app stores, so mostly Google and Apple, to verify age when someone logs in to their smartphone or their tablet to the app store to buy an app. And they do this already. Okay, they already verify age. So there's been a lot of misinformation out there, like, oh, this is going to cause people to have to put in their driver's license or scan their birth certificate. No. When you buy your phone or when you sign in your Apple ID for the first time or whatever it is, you put in your name and your date of birth. It's not that hard, right? So it requires that so that when a child under 18 downloads an app or makes an in-app purchase, parental consent is required. Perfect.
Okay.
They're signing a contract. Perfect. So I'm a parent and my kid wants to download a penguin game. I'm going to look at the penguin game. I'm going to look at it and make sure it's safe. I'm going to make sure it's rated for, that age. And then I'm going to say yes. Okay, great. Click a button. Perfect. Right? There are so many apps out there that are very misleading. I just did my own little research for the Senate hearing the other day. There's an app called Perp. Okay. Now, it's PURP, like purple, but it's Perp. And it's rated for ages 12 and up. And if you read the reviews for that app, there are literally children reviewing the app and asking for help. Saying,
what?
Yes, I found this.
What does this app do?
It's a way, it says like, connect, meet new friends, talk, basically talk to strangers.
A chat room.
A chat room that is for kids. But when you look at the pictures, it's Perp and purple, and then it's like all these, teenage girls. Who is going to go to the Perp app? Perps! And the kids in the App Store reviews for this app are saying, creepy man. I told him my age. He sent me that pic anyway. I did not want to see it. Now I'm afraid he knows where I live. Like, this is this is public information. So as a parent, I want to be able to look at these apps before my child downloads the app or makes an in-store purchase, right? That's all it does. The other thing it does is it makes sure that they already are supposed to rank themselves, 4 and up, 9 and up, 12 and up, 17 and up. It makes sure that the app stores get the information from the app developers on why they are ranking themselves that way, and that they're a little bit more accurate, because some of these are not accurate. So that's it. That's it. And again, why the opposition? Because app stores make so much money on these apps. Mm-hmm. They get a cut, right, from every app they add, every purchase. They're monetizing our kids. And as Senator Paxton said in her layout of the bill, the money that kids spend on apps is total, like it's their allowance, it's money they get from us. Many, many times it's money that we don't know they're spending. And then, I remember, JT, why did you spend $200 on this Lego game? Oops, Mom, I forgot to tell you. It asked me to do this, and I was in the middle of playing with my friend. That happens all the time. I bet every parent out there listening is like, oh, yeah. And the volume is just so big that they really just make so much money and don't do anything about it. So that's the bill in a nutshell. It does not violate the First Amendment of the Constitution. It does not, it does not endanger our privacy laws. As my friend David Dunmoyer at DPPF said the other day, we have some of the strongest privacy laws for online activity in the world. So that's it. It's simple.
You have said before a quote, and it's, "The smartphone is the new white van."
Yes.
That's very compelling. Can you explain that more to policy leaders, business leaders?
Yes. Again, aging myself. But when I was growing up, we played outside all the time. We didn't have smartphones. I mean, we might have a new Atari or something, but we were outside in the parks, and everybody knew. You just did not, if you saw a white van, especially one without windows, you didn't get anywhere near that. Right. And you run home and you tell your mom or whoever was home, and you'd kind of go, ooh, I don't want to know what's going on in that white van. The predators are not in the white van anymore. I mean, there still are occasionally, right? Sure. But all of the work we did at NCMEC and all of the research shows that the vast majority of kids are safe when they're playing outside. Like an abduction like that is very, very rare. Okay. The predators are where the kids are, which is on their phones, in their beds, in their rooms.
And what do you think? Obviously, you're working on the policy side, but Texas, we only meet every 2 years. Mm-hmm. So what other things are you doing? Are you doing this in other states or at the national level as well?
We're working with some partners nationally. We work with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Sure. Really just to get the word out about their amazing products, free resources for parents, for kids. There's so much going on there. There's so much good content that we want to get out from the NCMEC. We're actually working with Girl Scouts right now on a partnership with NCMEC 2 to create a patch. So if girls learn the NCMEC material and then share it with their peers, they can get a patch. Okay. So there's a lot of awareness work going on there. NCMEC also has something that every parent should be talking to their kids about called Take It Down. And this is a service that is amazing, but no one knows about it. And so we're really trying to get the word out about it. Take It Down is a service if a child, we hope they're not sending nude pics, but if they do, and they're worried that these are on the internet somewhere, they can work with NCMEC, and they can do it anonymously, actually, if they'd like to. And NCMEC will help them take it off the internet.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know that there were a lot of things that were constantly evolving in this space. Like we'd hear from parents directly, and I heard from parents even saying, there's predators on video game chat rooms.
Oh, yeah.
How do you think is the best way to educate parents or the public before having to wait until something bad happens. Like help them before the bad incident happens, because we're hearing just more and more every day.
Yeah. I think the most important thing you can do, the most effective thing you can do is talk to your kids today. Don't wait. We've had too many kids, and I know some of these families personally, who are living healthy, happy lives, go to bed at night, prepared to wake up for football practice in the morning or whatever it is, color guard practice. And their parents find them dead from suicide.
Oh my gosh.
There is not only the normal predator white van, right? White van predator on the phones now. There are concerted efforts by gangs and even state-sponsored or at least state-tolerant businesses overseas, and Nick Mick talks about this in their testimony in front of Congress, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, other places that literally train people to go after our kids all day long, all night long. And there's a story that says they're actually enslaving people to do this. They tell them that they're going to be working in AI or some tech job,
Wow.
and all they're doing is manipulating kids, getting them to send explicit photos, and then blackmailing them for money. And they're making money off these kids. And we're not hearing about it because the kids are ashamed, or the parents are ashamed, or they think it's some kind of lapse in their parenting that this happened, or something's wrong with their kid. It is none of that. It is that these people are very manipulative. They know what they're doing. They put pressure on these kids like you would not believe. And they know the psychology, and they understand that these kids their brains aren't fully developed, and they're so afraid of getting in trouble with their parents that they will do anything not to get in trouble with their parents, even taking their own lives.
Oh my gosh.
So we have to talk to our kids and say, listen, we're hoping that you're being safe online. I'm going to do everything in my power to help you stay safe online. I might get an app that helps me monitor some of your activity. That's just part of the deal, having a phone in this house. That's just part of our deal, right? But if you feel scared, sad, confused by anything you see online, please come and talk to me. If someone scares you, if someone threatens you, if you feel like someone's sharing photos, if you do share a photo that you wish you could take back, please come and talk to me. I'm on your side. I love you more than anything. I'm going to help protect you. You're not going to be in trouble. Because if our kids don't hear that, the result is often deadly. And if I could just leave people with one thing, please talk to your kids about this today. These gangs are targeting our boys who are athletes in middle class to affluent families. They're targeting girls. They're targeting everyone. They're targeting anyone they think they can get either more photos from, or a couple $100, a couple $1,000.
Wow.
And it is so scary. So that's it. I mean, you can get technology that helps screen or protect you or protect your kids. Absolutely, this App Store Accountability Act will help. But even with that, I talked to a mom yesterday. It's so devastating. She had a 12-year-old who downloaded an app that she was using for school. And a predator got to her there. And this mom did not know that her child had been exploited by this predator for a good 8 to 9 months before she accidentally came upon some photos and videos of her daughter at 12 and 13 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And so this is an app that was, a safe app. And the daughter hadn't told her mom, right? Like, so it could have kept going.
Well, that's really great advice for every parent listening right now, having that open communication. Like, that's a fantastic way to do that. For, some parents who aren't informed about it and it's just not publicly out there. You were mentioning that there's parents just scared to come out and talk about this when I do think they're so brave, the parents that do come out. I know Deborah Berry, the author of the Tech Trap, she very publicly said all of the things that happened with her daughter, and I really respect her for doing that. What do you think is missing in today's policy response? Is it enforcement? Is it just funding? Is it opposition? What do you think is missing that you're fighting now?
You know, I am so impressed right now with our legislature on this topic.
Okay. That's good.
I mean, I have to say, this is a fully bipartisan issue.
Yes.
And I've never seen so many bills dedicated to this issue. And I think it's because we have parents and grandparents in the Capitol and they're seeing it with their own families. It gives me hope. Like we're making progress. There are bills that are going to pass this session that will help keep children safer. There's more awareness coming. Kids themselves are speaking out about this. So I feel like we're winning for the first time. I also, you saw me hesitate because I also feel like we don't know what's next. Technology is so fast, right? Like we're having to catch up this session to put the framework around crimes that we didn't know would happen last session.
You almost have to predict.
Yes. Right? And with AI, I mean, we're having a huge problem in schools with AI generating apps and kids making AI generated pornographic videos of each other.
Right.
And then, you know, that's devastating too. And you know, it's just, so who would have thought that we would be here 3 years ago? You know what I mean? It's moving so fast. We hardly have time to catch up.
Well, another big one is the virtual reality space and how much more realistic it is getting online. Like there's one thing on your phone, but then, you know, you've seen even the Google glasses where you can see a giant screen or feel like you're immersed in it, which is so amazing for film and to watch movies and all. But you can obviously see what that could be really bad for a child who gets into the wrong hands of something, or even a virtual reality game or something like that.
I mean, the grooming potential.
Yes.
It's awful.
And there's obviously so much benefit with tech, and then there's a dark side. Like having a conversation with someone in another country, feeling like you're there. If I can chat with my mom or dad, feeling like I'm in the same room as them, amazing. But if that's in the wrong hands, I think it's going to be, you know, educating parents. Right. And so you've mentioned Senate Bill 2420. You testified on personally. So I'd love to share that and show that right now.
First, my name is Andrea Sparks, and I'm testifying in favor of SB 2420. Thank you, Senator Paxton, for filing this bill. I'm here on behalf of a nonprofit I co-founded called Not on Our Watch, Texas. Not on Our Watch is an initiative of Texas Women in Business, and our mission is to engage women in business to educate themselves and others on protecting children from online harms. When we were growing up and playing outside, we all knew to stay away from the white van, the one without the windows. When we saw one of these, we ran home to tell our mom, and we try not to think about the dangers inside. The smartphone is the new white van. But we give these to our children at about 11 years old, and instead of being afraid, our children become addicted to them. Apps are our children's gateway to the digital world, and unfortunately, increasingly a gateway for predators to our children. We think we can keep our children safe by telling them to stay away from dangerous apps, but the reality is, once they are in the van, on the phone, it's unrealistic to expect kids to protect themselves. I want to share with you just a few of these apps that I found, and instead of reading what I think about them, I'm going to share what the kids themselves rated them. So these are kids who are literally begging someone to protect them. One app is called the Perp app. It's for 12 and up. It's described as make new friends, meet and chat with real people. The kid says, this is all full of pedophiles. This app is for teens, but I can't do this anymore. It makes my anxiety go crazy. I'm 14 and shouldn't feel unsafe on an app meant for my age group. Please figure out a way to separate minors from adults. A second app called the Buzz app. Again, 12 and up. It's described as make friends, swipe, meet, chat. There are many apps like this on here. And so I just want to thank y'all for filing this bill. Senator Paxton, it's very important. It's a common sense solution to this problem to protect our kids.
Thanks for your testimony.
Andrea, thank you for being here. You were going to describe a couple of more apps. I wonder if you could just give us a couple more examples and what the children themselves were
I'm
saying.
going to apologize in advance. I tried to screen out the ones with the explicit language, but this was just me on my phone yesterday, looking around, getting ready for today. And I'm just baffled. I mean, if these reviews are in public and I can find them, surely the app stores can find them and do something about it. These apps still exist. So one was called the Fizz app. It's rated 9 and up. Teen chat, meet new friends. The reviews are very dangerous for children, says one review. Another review says this is creepy. And there's some more explicit language that I'm not including. Another one was the Buzz app for rated age 12 and up, make friends. I'm a young teen. He asked me what I was wearing and asked for that type of pic. And I said, no, thanks. He sent a pic of himself and said he was horny and said, see you soon. I'm quite scared. So the app stores see these reviews, and there's so many. I mean, these are just from kids who are saying, help me, I'm scared. Can you take down this app? Can you do something to protect us? I think this App Store Accountability Act is just a common sense way to fix this. And like you said, the technology exists. I don't know why tech companies are opposed, except follow the money. They can tell our age to send us all kinds of ads on things that they think we want to buy. You know, you think of a pair of shoes and suddenly it's on your phone. That happens to me all the time. So, thank you.
Well, and I don't know if you were in the chamber at the beginning during the bill layout, but children are a huge consumer market, and their spendable income, because they're children, it comes from their parents, right? So that's another note to parents, pay attention. But children's income is almost exclusively discretionary. They don't have other drags on the money they have, their allowance or whatever. And so they're tremendously appealing to companies that want to market to them. And there is a lot of money in it, that's for sure. I don't think it comes as a big shock to anyone that our children are being harvested for profit in all kinds of ways. And this is one way that we can make a difference and protect kids. And I don't hear a lot of speech censorship happening there. And this bill wouldn't get rid of that app. It would just create transparency for parents about what's there. Thank you, Andrea. Appreciate it.
So what is Project Protect Our Children, and how are you involved in that?
Yes. So Project Protect Our Children is something I've known about since I was at the governor's office. Denise Mears started it in Houston, and they were really focused on helping kids understand trafficking. And like us, during the pandemic, they saw, okay, online is a big problem too.
Sure.
And so they work with counselors in schools to create youth action boards, and this is middle schools and high schools, where the kids themselves become leaders in this issue. They educate themselves, they educate other kids, they come up with their own projects to raise awareness, and they can then become the people in their schools who, let's say I have something online, or I've done something I don't want to tell my parents, or I don't want to tell a counselor. I can go talk to potentially this peer and get some advice. And so they're equipped with that kind of knowledge too. And
Wow.
of course they know how to report and those sorts of things. And so we're just super excited about that because like Charlie Brown's parents, want. Kids don't want to hear us. They want to hear from each other, and they trust each other. And so I think this has got great potential. As I said, there are many, many schools in the Houston area doing it. And recently, Liberty Hill ISD brought it there.
Wow.
And so we're partnering with them, and they're bringing it to all of their high schools and middle schools. We're hoping it comes to Westlake, my kids' school. But I think that gives me lots of hope, because the youth, these kids are the ones who are going to have to want this to change. You
Absolutely.
know, we can legislate, prosecute, all of that, but it's going to have to be the kids who say, not on our watch, not on our watch. We're going to take care of each other. You know, this is not okay.
I love that. Well, it's getting the awareness out there. And with Not on Our Watch, it's a women-led organization and backed. So what's the significance of bringing businesswomen into this fight in general?
You know, I think we've always relied on nonprofits and maybe even churches to do a lot of our human services work. And I think there's a real interest in business. And there should be. Businesses should be interested in this. I also think that there's something, I mean, no offense, Papa Bears. I know dads and grandparents and uncles are very protective too. But there's something about a mama bear. You know what I mean? There's something about that, like, oh, don't mess with my kids, you know? And I feel like there's a power that we can tap into with women and women in business. And it just so happened that when we first conceived of the idea, we were partnered with, you know, the Governor's Commission for Women, and they are women-owned businesses, human trafficking. That's kind of their one of their issues. And so it kind of worked out.
So how would a company like mine or somebody listening now get involved and help?
Oh my gosh. Follow us on social media.
Okay.
We are on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We provide a lot of educational materials, a lot of action alerts on how you can get involved in the legislature and even nationally. There's a ton of good stuff going on nationally. We believe the App Store Accountability Act has a good shot passing nationally. But yeah, get involved that way. And if you want to get really involved, contact me, because this is a volunteer thing. Like, we're doing this. I'm doing this on the side. LB's doing this on the side. We need all the help we can get.
I love that. Well, we'll definitely share those links that people can follow and reach out to you if they need to. And let's not forget all the work you're doing at Buckner International. So can you share a little bit, for those who don't know, about what that is, what that organization is and what you're doing for them?
Buckner International is a 146-year-old nonprofit that serves children, family, and seniors. We believe it's the oldest nonprofit doing this work west of the Mississippi.
Wow.
And it's an incredible organization. It's faith-based. And I get the pleasure and honor of representing them at the Texas Capitol and among, you know, Texas stakeholders. They we're really moving upstream. You know, we started out in 1879 as an orphanage because that's what you did, to protect children. That was the model. But since then, we've steadily moved upstream to keep families together, if at all possible. So we work on family strengthening. We have our family hope centers throughout the state and really throughout the world. We like to say we're in Texas and 6 other countries, soon to be 7, in Africa and Latin America. So it's such a joy. And I really appreciate the work that they do on the ground that makes it easy for me to be their advocate at the Capitol. And then just also the flexibility to do this work too. I mean, keeping kids safe and helping families navigate this online world for their kids is part of family strengthening. So it kind of all makes sense.
Your time is all back to your original Annie comment, where really that shows you've been following your passions your whole life.
So
I
true.
love that. You can really see that.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting down with, you know, a businesswoman right now, what are the one thing that you would tell them to do to get involved in this effort and stop a lot of these issues?
I mean, honestly, we just need to get the word out. I feel like if parents knew what was really happening, and they do, you know, because they're living it with their kids, but they don't know what to do. They don't know how to have that conversation. They don't know about the Take It Down feature at NCMEC. There are tools and tips that we are constantly posting to help you navigate those conversations. And I think that is the number one thing, is to just follow our posts. We have this amazing woman in San Antonio who does all of our social media. And she's so smart and she's really learned a lot about this. And then come to the Capitol. It blows my mind that that building is where they're making all these decisions that affect us all. And the public, for the most part, is just kind of, you know, no one knows really how to testify, how to register support. Do you know you can send in comments to House bills from the comfort of your home? House bills that are being heard. I feel like we need to get the word out about that. You know, we are a democracy, and the legislature wants to hear from you, and educate yourself and watch and be there if you can. I know it's hard. I'm getting ready to go back over there, and I'm probably going to be there till late tonight waiting to testify. But, you know this work and how important it is, and your USLege is helping people do this work in a better way. And that's so important to just navigate it and understand when to plug in. But it's not that hard. And so I think get involved with some advocacy groups that you care about. There's many that do this work on behalf of children, on behalf of families, and they will keep you informed and kind of plug you in.
Thank you for keeping people informed and telling them which bills are out there. There's so many. So we definitely have a lot of similarities in what we're doing, transparency, accessibility, trying to allow people to see what's actually going on. There's too many bills to keep up with that the average person might not know. So love that you are making sure people are aware of it and that they can come testify. That's really what's so meaningful. And I saw so many representatives and senators change their mind on an issue just from having 20 people come with different stories that show this as an issue in the state.
Absolutely. I just saw that 2 weeks ago in the Senate committee that handles public education or education.
Sure.
You could see the light bulbs going off. You could see the senators really, and we're going to have some incredible bills now that are going to, they're going to do committee substitutes and really get them to be as strong as they can to protect children from predators in the schools. The testimony was amazing. It was from survivors, from law enforcement in the schools, from people who work with kids in the schools. And I really saw it working that day. It was so great to see.
Well, it's definitely a dark subject matter, but it's one that you have to talk about to get people aware. What's giving you the most hope right now?
Like I said before, I think that the fact that youth are getting involved and that they're going to be the ones who help each other through this digital landscape, as it constantly changes. I think that is just one of the most important things we can do is empower them to understand it. NCMEC has a lot of those materials for youth to look at, videos, very, games, things that they can do to learn. And then the Project Protect Our Children. I feel the fact that you have, Senator Paxton, or we call our Senator Baba, who, is a grandma, and who is got the Senate bill. And then you've got Rep. Fairley, who's 26 and is single and no kids. And she's coming at it from, Amarillo area, a rural area, and saying they're together saying this is important. And you've got Democrats and Republicans joining them. That gives me a lot of hope. It tells me that there are certain issues that are really, really critical to our children that they can work on together. And that's a beautiful thing.
Well, thank you for what you do. And is there anything else you'd want to tell our listeners, things that you're working on or share?
Oh, just, don't be afraid to follow us on social media. It's not all doom and gloom.
Yes.
We try to keep it light too.
Yes.
And there's a lot of good work happening.
I love
including
it.
yours.
Thank you. Well, it's all of our jobs to protect the kids.
That's
and
right.
I love that it's the kids themselves to, every age can help.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's been a true delight.
You're the best. Talk
You're
to you
the
soon.
best.